AOC mocked Karoline Leavitt as a joke. Her response left the audience in shock. The panel is already underway when Karoline Leavitt finally gets the microphone. She leans forward, voice calm but deliberate. I think the American people are tired of narratives crafted in green rooms instead of neighborhoods. We should. AOC doesn't wait. She tilts her head, half laughing. Remind me again who gave her a microphone? The crowd erupts in laughter. A few nervous chuckles echo near the back. The moderator shifts in his seat, but says nothing. Karoline doesn't flinch. She looks directly at Alexandria. I may not be on Netflix specials, but I still ask questions the government won't. Her voice doesn't rise. It cuts. A pause. Then a murmur. AOC smiles, but the edges of it harden. This isn't high school debate club. People are dying, and you're handing out TikTok talking points. Karoline blinks once, then responds, tell that to the working mom who just lost her pharmacy access because of federal regulation no one here read before voting on. The moderator clears his throat, trying to steer. Let's stay on topic. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, you were speaking about climate investment. Karoline interrupts gently. I am on topic. Silence and mockery are part of the same game. You laugh, so no one looks closer. She looks at the crowd now, not at AOC. And if asking questions makes me a punchline, I'm okay with that. I'd rather be mocked than muzzled. A man in the third row nods slowly. The moderator taps his pen. AOC leans back. Her tone sharpens. You're not being muzzled, Karoline. You're being disagreed with. There's a difference. She adds, you come here with binder quotes and campaign retweets, but this isn't conservative talk radio. Karoline folds her hands, calm. No, it's not. It's a panel where the term journalist gets redefined based on who agrees with you. Alexandria's jaw tightens. This isn't about you. Karoline smiles again. Cool this time. No, but mocking me made it about me. I'm just answering the call. The tension spreads. Even the moderator hesitates before continuing. Before we continue the story, drop your city in the comments and hit that subscribe button, because we got more confrontations that deserve to be seen. A woman from the audience raises her hand. The moderator signals to her. She doesn't wait. I came here to hear about solutions, not who has the sharpest tongue. Karoline looks at her, expression softening. I'm with you, but when they start with laughs, sometimes you have earned the mic with your spine. AOC doesn't reply this time, but the smirk is gone. The moderator tries again. Let's return to climate policy. Congresswoman, would you like to continue? AOC nods once. As I was saying, we passed the largest climate package in history. Karoline cuts in, voice still measured. While shutting down 23 rural energy sites without community input, AOC turns, finally exasperated. You come here with numbers and no solutions. Karoline, numbers are the solution, at least when no one's listening to the stories behind them. Silence again. AOC, suddenly lower in tone. You're not here to help. You're here to be seen. Karoline doesn't blink. No, I'm here because people who've never been invited into these rooms trusted me to show up, even if I get laughed out. No one laughs this time. The air hasn't cleared from the last round. The moderator tries to steer the panel back to infrastructure funding, but eyes in the room are locked on Karoline. She's quiet for now, flipping slowly through a slim stack of printed pages. It's not drama. It's preparation. The moderator opens the floor again. We'll now discuss how federal policy impacts rural communities, particularly underserved ones. Karoline? She doesn't speak right away. She holds up a single sheet of paper. This is from a 2018 campaign speech, she says softly, given by the congresswoman from New York. Karoline reads, calm and measured. When power only listens to its own echo chamber, it forgets how to govern. I'm here to elevate all voices, not just the ones with verified badges. She pauses, then lowers the page. That's what you said, she continues, eyes now locked on AOC. Back when you were the one being laughed at. A beat of silence. The moderator shifts. AOC blinks once, exhales, and then leans in. That was about structural gatekeeping, not defending bad faith grandstanders try and make headlines on borrowed outrage. Karoline doesn't flinch. Or maybe it was about the dignity of disagreement, and how you said even unpopular voices deserve to be heard. Her tone doesn't rise. If anything, it lowers. I came here to speak. You laughed, and then told me I was a problem. AOC stiffens. You came here to go viral. Karoline shrugs. Maybe, but if I'm going viral for quoting you, that's your reflection, not mine. The audience murmurs. Someone whispers. She's not wrong. AOC's voice sharpens. This isn't about you. This is about real policy. Climate, healthcare, labor, not TikTok soundbites and monologue rehearsals. Karoline folds her paper. Doesn't even look at it now. Real policy starts with respect, she says. Even for the people who didn't get invited to your cocktail parties. Especially them. There it is. The pivot. And the room feels it. The moderator interrupts. Unsure. Let's try to keep this focus on policy outcomes. But Karoline speaks over him. Not louder, just clearer. You don't get policy without voices. And you don't get voices when people like me get laughed out of rooms like this. The crowd react again, more murmurs, some nods. One camera operator zooms in. AOC, jaw tight, tries to pivot again. You're not being silenced. You're just being challenged. Karoline nods. I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is being dismissed as a joke before I ever finish a sentence. That's not challenge. That's performance. AOC turns slightly, hand half raised. You're not the only young woman in politics. Stop acting like the martyr. Karoline finally raises her voice. Not much, but enough to slice. I don't need to be a martyr. I just need you to remember who you were before you became the person that laughs first. A hush falls again. That landed harder than anything before. Karoline continues, quietly now. You taught a lot of us that the system would try to laugh us out, but you didn't tell us what to do when it was you doing the laughing. AOC doesn't respond. For the first time, her gaze breaks. She looks to the moderator. Are we still talking about infrastructure? The moderator hesitates. We were. But this is the moment people came for. Karoline looks back at the sheet, then places it on the table. Not in defiance, just done. I read your words because they matter to me, she says softly. They still do. I just hope they still matter to you, too. No one speaks. Even the cameras seem quieter. The power dynamic? Shifting, not because of volume. Because of clarity. The tension hasn't lifted. If anything, it's calcified. The moderator tries to reclaim the narrative. Let's move into specifics now. Congresswoman, would you walk us through your latest infrastructure proposal? But Karoline is already moving. She reaches on the table, slow, deliberate, and places a thin gray binder onto her lap. A subtle move. Quiet, but it shifts the room. Her mix still on. Since we're moving into specifics, she begins, voice unshaken, I came with receipts. The moderator stiffens. Miss Leavitt, just to be clear, we didn't plan for documents to be presented during this panel. Karoline doesn't look up. You plan a platform. I plan accountability. And she opens a binder. The pages aren't flashy. No highlighters, no dramatics. Just printed tweets, vote logs, and budget line items. She lifts one page and reads aloud. Fiscal conservatism is just cruelty with a calculator. Anyone defending these budgets doesn't care about people. She glances at the author line. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, September 2020. There's a shift in the room, not a gasp, just breath held. Karoline doesn't pause. She flips to another page. 3 months after that tweet, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez voted against Amendment 387, a bipartisan clause that would have redirected duplicate military contracts to rural mental health infrastructure. The moderator leans in. Can we verify that document? AOC cuts in, sharp. This is misinformation. Karoline's tone doesn't change. It's your record. AOC's eyes narrow. That amendment was a political stunt wrapped in a poison pill. It gutted other protections. Karoline flips again. Section 14, Subclause D. No removals to pre-existing entitlements. No repeal. No cuts. Only reallocation. She looks up now, steady. You didn't vote against a poison pill. You voted against an opportunity to serve towns that don't trend on Twitter. The audience doesn't move. Neither does AOC. I don't need a viral moment, Karoline says, voice quieter now. I need the people watching this to know that not every critique is conspiracy. Sometimes it's just arithmetic. The moderator interjects. Let's remember, panelists were not required to bring documentation, and Karoline closes the binder softly. I wasn't required to. I just came prepared. AOC exhales through her nose. You're cherry-picking data to manufacture outrage. Karoline doesn't smile. She just looks across the stage. You build a brand on confronting hypocrisy. But suddenly, when the mirror turns your way, AOC snaps, I have nothing to hide. Karoline, then this shouldn't bother you. For a beat, no one speaks. A voice from the back of the room, an older man, probably staff, mutters audibly, she brought a damn binder. Laughter doesn't follow. Just stunned silence. Karoline lifts it once more, but doesn't open it. This binder isn't about proving I'm right. It's about proving I listened. I watched. I remembered. You taught me to. AOC leans in, defensive now. You don't know the pressure of these votes. The nuance. You're outside looking in. Karoline's voice doesn't crack. No, I'm the person the vote affects. And I read the fine print. I didn't need power to do that. I needed a printer. That hits differently. The moderator hesitates. Perhaps we can allow Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez to respond without further citation interruptions. Karoline lowers the binder. I'm done citing. But I'm not done being underestimated. AOC responds more carefully this time. The sarcasm is gone. I've fought for working people my entire career. Karoline replies without pause. So have I. We just disagree on what that looks like. The moderator exhales audibly. The audience is still locked in. Someone whispers near the front. She flipped the room. Karoline places the binder back beneath the table. Doesn't slam it. Doesn't hold it up. She just sets it down. Quiet. Measured. Unmoved. The room sits in a strange silence. Not the aftermath of fight, but the kind that follows clarity. The binder is no longer visible. The laughter is dried up. Something has shifted. And then a voice from the crowd. A black journalist in the third row slowly rises. Not aggressive, not performative. Just clear. I don't like her politics, he says, eyes fixed on Karoline. But that took guts. A ripple moves across the room, low, reverent. The moderator turns, caught off guard. Sir, we're not opening the floor to audience commentary yet. But AOC has already reacted. She sits forward, eyes sharp. You're siding with someone who used to echo Tucker Carlson? The man shakes his head. I'm not siding. I'm witnessing. Karoline turns toward him gently, but speaks to AOC. I'm not here to echo, she says. I'm here to remind you, mocking doesn't build bridges. It burns them. There's no applause, only silence. AOC's tone hardens. You want a pat on the back for quoting budget numbers? Try passing a bill. Karoline doesn't blink. I don't want a pat on the back. I want a seat where someone like me doesn't need your permission to speak without being laughed at. The moderator clears his throat, almost pleading. Let's reframe. This panel is about bipartisanship and generational collaboration. Karoline interrupts, not loudly, but firmly. It's about who gets dismissed before the first sentence leaves their mouth. Another voice. This one female, mid-30s, seated beside the journalist, murmurs loud enough to carry. She's not wrong. AOC leans back, folds her arms. You've spent this entire panel playing the victim. Karoline straightens slightly, her voice quiet. No, I've spent it refusing to be one. A shift again, a subtle turning. The moderator tries to reclaim control. Perhaps we can pivot to climate action and youth engagement. But Karoline speaks again, and now her tone has changed. It's no longer performance. It's personal. I wasn't raised to interrupt, she says, eyes locked on AOC now. I was raised to outlast. And that lands. Everyone knows it. AOC doesn't respond immediately. She reaches for her water, but doesn't drink. Karoline continues, lower now. You told the world that power mocks what it fears. So tell me, why did you laugh? No answer. Just breath held across the rows. The same journalist speaks again, still standing. Because sometimes when people show up with different armor, we forget it's still courage underneath. Even the moderator doesn't try to speak over it now. Karoline turns to the audience, not dramatically, just honestly. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. I just expect the dignity to finish a thought without being labeled a threat, a joke, or a name that trends better than my ideas. AOC mutters under her breath, but the mic catches it. She came here to fight, not to build. Karoline catches it and answers instantly. No, I came here to tell the truth. You just didn't expect it to be packaged in someone like me. A heavy silence follows. Then, from the back, let her talk. One voice, then another. She earned it. The moderator slowly turns his head. The balance in the room is gone. Or maybe, finally, it's evened out. Karoline doesn't smile. She just looks straight ahead and speaks as if she knows now. The room is actually listening. The air has changed. No longer tense, not even silent. It's weightless, like the room just realized it was part of something larger than itself. Karoline isn't speaking now. She's simply sitting still, eyes forward, hands folded. AOC hasn't looked at her in 5 minutes. And the moderator? He's somewhere between frozen and flustered, thumbing through index cards that no longer matter. Then it happens. The overhead screen, meant for policy slides and name tags, flickers, and a live tweet flashes onto it in real time, whether you agree with her or not. Karoline Leavitt just held her ground against a cultural giant. That moment will replay all week. Chase Downer, national political correspondent, MSNBC. There's no music, no dramatics, just a ripple, a sharp inhale across the auditorium. Karoline doesn't look up. AOC does. Her head turns slowly toward the screen, and then sideways, not at Karoline, but at the moderator. She leans back into her seat, arms folded, not relaxed, contained. The moderator stammers. Let's keep the screen off for now. This isn't supposed to be interactive. Karoline speaks before he finishes. Her voice is clear, unbothered. I didn't come here to trend, she says, but I won't apologize for being prepared. It lands. The moderator tries to recover. Let's redirect, perhaps back to bipartisan strategies for rural development? Karoline turns toward him slowly. I brought those strategies, too. They're in the binder. But you never asked. He doesn't know what to say to that. AOC shifts. She's trying to pick the right moment, to reclaim a tone that now feels foreign. Preparedness doesn't equal credibility, she finally says. This wasn't a trial. Karoline replies without turning. No, but it was public, and you made it personal. The audience murmurs again. AOC's voice is quieter now, but cutting. You're acting like you dismantled something. Karoline doesn't smile. I didn't dismantle anything. I just asked for the same courtesy you demanded 5 years ago. The moderator puts his hands up as if to stop invisible flames. We're not here to settle scores. Karoline turns back to him. I'm just showing what happens when the platform meant for exchange becomes a one-way performance. He opens his mouth, then closes it. On the screen above them, the tweet has already gathered 4,000 retweets. Someone whispers. It's everywhere. AOC glances at it again, the numbers rising like a heartbeat. Karoline turns back toward her. I know what this looks like, she says. Some people will say I hijacked the room. Others will say I got lucky. She pauses. But I didn't interrupt. I didn't shout. I didn't even defend myself until I was mocked. AOC remained silent. Karoline continues. I brought facts. I brought quotes. I brought your words. And if those things trend, that's not on me. She doesn't say it with smugness. She says it like someone who no longer needs to raise her voice to be heard. The moderator rubs the bridge of his nose. Let's take a brief pause, give the panelists a moment to reset. But the energy has already spilled past his outline. A voice from the left. She flipped the tone. A voice from the right. She flipped the script. AOC breaks her silence. Slowly. You came in here with a strategy. You wanted this moment. Karoline. No. I came with truth. It just wasn't yours. Silence again. AOC leans into her microphone as if preparing a counter, but she doesn't speak. The moderator senses a shift. We'll move on now to closing statements from each panelist. Brief thoughts on what bipartisan leadership looks like for the next generation. But before anyone speaks, another tweet flashes on the screen. Unsanctioned but automatic. She didn't interrupt. She outlasted. That was surgical. Ben Domenech, the Federalist. More murmurs. Some gasps. Karoline doesn't react. AOC taps her pen twice against the table. No one interrupts. The silence is telling. If that twist shocked you, and you weren't expecting her to go there, comment the word expose right now. The moderator shifts in his chair again. We will close now. Final remarks. Karoline nods once. Her mic is still on. She doesn't need new material. She just speaks. Bipartisan leadership starts when we stop mistaking disagreement for disrespect, and when the people with power stop laughing long enough to listen. She leans back. Finally, done. The audience doesn't clap, not yet, but they don't look away. AOC doesn't respond, and for once, maybe wisely, says nothing. And that silence, it says more than any clapback ever could. The panel is technically over, but no one moves. Not right away. People murmur. Some whisper. Some stare at their phones, the overhead screen, or nothing at all. The clatter of final remarks never came. The moderator never got to say, thank you. AOC never gave closing thoughts. And Karoline? She never stood for applause. Because there wasn't any. Just a room full of people who now had to sit with what they saw and what they felt. Karoline slowly unclips her mic and places on the table. No flair. No triumph. Just calm, practiced hands. She stands up, nods once toward the moderator, who offers a forced, apologetic half-smile, and quietly exits stage left. Behind the curtain, it's fluorescent, cold, unfiltered. Staffers move like shadows. Busy, breathless, buzzing with the weight of things left unsaid. A communications aide whispers something into a phone. A production manager is already scanning tweets, muttering names of news outlets. Karoline moves through them unnoticed, until she isn't. A young staffer, maybe 25, maybe less, rushes past, then stops, turns around, and gently taps Karoline on the arm. She's flushed, nervous, but steady. You made space for a lot of us tonight. The staffer says quietly, like the truth is too sacred to say aloud. Karoline turns to her, doesn't deflect, doesn't smile, doesn't rehearse. Only because someone tried to laugh me out of the room, she answers. The girl nods, swallows, then adds, still, no one's going to forget that. Karoline doesn't say anything, but her silence is soft, not hard. As the staffer walks away, Karoline continues down the hallway, binder tucked tightly under one arm like a compass. Not a weapon, not a trophy, just something she built to survive the conversation. She turns a corner and stops. AOC is standing there, alone, leaning against the wall, water bottle in one hand, coat slung over the other. Her eyes are somewhere else. But when she sees Karoline, she straightens slightly. They're alone. No cameras, no moderators, no microphones. Just two women, two voices, two different wars in the same trench. AOC doesn't blink. Nice binder, she mutters, just loud enough to be heard. It's not sarcasm, not kindness either, just acknowledgement. Karoline doesn't hesitate. Thanks, she replies. It comes with receipts and respect. There's a pause. No comeback. No pivot. Just silence. AOC nods once. Half step back. Then walks past Karoline without another word. Her footsteps echo down the corridor. They fade slower than expected. Karoline exhales, but she doesn't move. Another staffer appears. Older, maybe mid-40s. Quiet, worn face. He's holding a tablet, but lowers it when he sees her. "You all right?" he asks. She nods. "You knew it'd be like this?" Karoline shrugs. "I knew if I didn't say it, no one would." He watches her. Still, that took guts. She shakes her head. "No, that took remembering who I was before they tried to rename me." He doesn't respond, just nods, the way men nod when they've seen something shift and don't know how to phrase it. Another voice, further down the hall, a producer. She's trending, like globally. Karoline hears it, but doesn't react. She finally begins to walk, slowly, binder pressed to her side, eyes straight ahead. A young man opens a green room door for her. Inside, it's quieter, dimmer. One chair, one bottle of water, her coat on a hook. She sits. She breathes. There's a knock. The door creaks open again. It's the woman from the third row, the one who'd murmured, "She's not wrong," during the panel. She's older than Karoline. Maybe a mother, maybe a survivor, maybe both. She doesn't step inside, but she leans in. "I've watched you since you got laughed at in that first interview," the woman says. "And I just want you to know, today, that wasn't just a moment." Karoline looks up. The woman's eyes hold steady. That was a mirror. Karoline says nothing for a long beat. Then, "I didn't come to win anything," she says softly. "I came to outlast the insult." The woman smiles, not wide, but deep. "Well, you did, and now they'll have to choose, echo you or admit they were never listening." She leaves the doorway. Karoline's phone buzzes on the table. She ignores it. Then another buzz. She flips it over. Dozens of notifications. Clips. Headlines. DMs. Mentions. She sees the MSNBC tweet again. And then a new one. Karoline Leavitt didn't yell. She documented. And documentation is more dangerous than drama. Meghan McCain. Another. Young woman shows up with binder. Makes seasoned politician flinch. That's not politics. That's legacy in motion. ABC panel commentary. Karoline turns the phone face down again. A knock at the door. It's her comms director. Late 20s. Efficient. Usually unfazed. But tonight? Shaken. "We got 4 networks requesting interviews," she says breathlessly. "They're calling it a defining moment. Everyone wants the binder breakdown." Karoline doesn't blink. "No interviews tonight," she replies. "Not one." The comms director freezes. "But..." Karoline stands. "I didn't come here to go viral. I came here to speak. And I already did." Another pause. The director nods. She gets it. Karoline grabs her coat. Takes one last look around the room. No celebration. No champagne. No team high fives. Just breath. And memory. And gravity. She opens the door. Walks back through the hallway. People part for her now, not out of fear. Out of something else. Recognition. The moderator sees her pass. He doesn't try to make eye contact. She steps outside, into the cold air. The city hums. Street lights flicker. Horns murmur in the distance. She turns a corner and walks alone. Not because she has no one, because after nights like this, you carry it first, before anyone else can. And in that moment, no one's watching. But somehow, everyone sees her. It starts small. An iPhone screen recording, 46 seconds long. No graphics. No hashtags. Just a low-quality clip of Karoline Leavitt saying quietly, "I didn't come to trend. I came to speak. And I already did." That line, it spreads like fire. Not in political circles first, but in high school group chats. Group texts with daughters and mothers. Sidebars in newsroom Slack threads. It's reposted on Instagram with no filter. It's clipped into a TikTok by a woman in her 50s. It's tweeted by someone with 3 followers who says, "I was never into politics." But that was spine. It's midnight now. Karoline's still off the grid, back in her hotel room. Binder closed, shoes off, hair down. She's not checking her phone, not watching the footage, not even watching TV. Just silence. The rare kind that comes after you say something you know didn't need to be louder, just needed to be said. Her calm director finally knocks. Hey, sorry. I know you said no press tonight, but... Karoline raises an eyebrow. She enters slowly, holding a phone. You need to see this. Karoline takes it. The screen shows a live feed from a political panel wrap-up on PBS. The host is mid-sentence. And while some call it confrontational, others are calling it generational. The moment when a young woman didn't raise her voice, but raised the bar. Karoline doesn't say anything. The screen cuts to side-by-side. Her still photo, binder in lap, eyes calm, next to AOC's turn profile. Then the clip plays. Her voice, clear as the night it was spoken. Real policy starts with respect, even for the people who don't get invited to your cocktail parties. The calm director lowers her voice. We got every network reaching out. CNN, Fox, The View, Good Morning America. They want a statement, a sit-down, anything. Karoline leans back on the bed. Do they want to talk policy? She asks. No, they want to talk about you. Karoline sighs. Then they'll have to wait. But they don't. By 2 a.m., Karoline Leavitt trends in 17 countries. But it's not the insult they replay. It's not the binder. It's the final words, the soft ones, the ones that didn't come with a mic drop. They come from a post-panel interview, something Karoline had recorded an hour after the debate ended, back when the press room was still half empty. She hadn't planned to speak again, but someone had asked, what do you say to young women who feel dismissed in rooms like that? Karoline paused, then said, quietly, I was called a joke, but I'm not here for applause. I'm here to make sure no young woman thinks silence is survival. That was it, but that was everything. Clips of that answer begin surfacing on Facebook pages run by teachers, by daughters, by ex-staffers who once disagreed with her, and now call her the one who didn't blink. The next morning, a talk radio host opens with a monologue. I've covered politics 20 years. Most people use panels to posture. She used it to plant something. And you can hear it, not in the crowd, but in the silence afterward. You know what that was? That was the sound of someone making it safe to speak again. AOC still hasn't commented publicly. Her camp issues a neutral statement. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez supports robust dialogue and continues to advocate for bold policy solutions. But it doesn't matter, because no one's talking about policy right now. They're talking about tone, about posture, about who gets to speak without being mocked for existing. Karoline finally sits down the next day with a single reporter. Local, independent, quiet. The reporter, maybe 28, begins awkwardly. Honestly, I didn't expect to be moved by a panel, but that felt different. Karoline smiles gently. I didn't expect to speak that much. You didn't plan that? She shakes her head. I planned the binder, not the moment. The reporter leans in. So what was that moment? Karoline thinks, then says, it was a point when I realized I could let the insult pass, or I could answer in a way that didn't sound angry but sounded permanent. The clip airs that night. It trends again. Under it, a teacher from Mississippi posts, my students watched this today in civics, not because of the issues, because of the tone. We don't clap for cool anymore. We clap for courage. Another video goes viral, a Zoom recording grainy from a girls' leadership summit. A 14-year-old quotes Karoline's line to a cheering group. Silence isn't survival, it's surrender. The screen shows tears. Cheers. Young women nodding. One headline on Politico reads, mocked? Yes. Muted? Never. Another on The Atlantic. The most powerful binder in Washington didn't make noise. It made space. Karoline's inbox overflows. Some angry, some bitter. But many, overwhelmingly many, say things like, you didn't flinch. You didn't fold. You didn't need applause. That's why I came. She replies to one message from a single mother in Ohio. I've been interrupted in every boardroom I've ever entered. Thank you for showing that a woman doesn't have to raise her voice to raise the temperature. Karoline writes back, we don't win by being louder. We win by not leaving. Later that night, she walks alone again. No cameras, but people recognize her now. Some nod. Some say nothing. One woman stops her at a crosswalk. No name. No introduction. Just this, you didn't go viral. You became a voice. Karoline nods. She doesn't need to say thank you, because sometimes the only way to honor a moment like this is to keep walking forward. Was this one of the most powerful moments in political debate you've seen? Comment your thoughts, and subscribe if you still believe truth matters more than applause.